Okay, we're just getting ourselves set up here for some more Tyrion, Cuthbert, Attorney of the Arcane. And here we go. So, we proved the twin dilemma, and Valerie is on the stand, and we're going to talk to her and figure out what's going on. So, my initial thought last time was that Valerie and her sister were the culprits. I do not think that anymore. I think they were but innocent bystanders, roped into this by fate and unfortunate circumstances. So, instead, we're going to see who the real culprit might be, because it seems like this teacher who was murdered was not very popular. But anyway. Alright, so she said, "My sister and I were walking in the hallway from the kitchen to the west exit. That's when I suddenly spotted the professor lying in a pool of blood in a nearby classroom. Valentina used a communication device to call for help while I tried to save her. I saw that she was bleeding, so I cast Mend Wounds on her to close her wounds, but it was too late. I closed the hole in her chest, but she was already dead." Okay. There was a hole in her chest? Your Honor, as you can clearly see from the witness's testimony, the trace of necromancy was left by the witness, not my client. What's more, it's clear that there was a physical wound on the body. I see. Well, his words trailed off. He clearly didn't want to pass a verdict with no clear culprit. But he had no choice. The case against Wallace was predicated on Bellwether being killed by necrotic blight. With Valerie's testimony, the prosecution didn't have a shred of evidence implicating him. Very well. The court sees no reason to prolong this trial. With these new developments, the court has no choice but to find Wallace Nightgrave.
Objection!
Yeah. Reasonable doubt. Silly me. Why would I think that was a thing? I believe the court is ignoring one key detail of the witness's testimony. And what would that be, Miss Steelwind? Let's re-examine the witness's testimony. Valentina used a communication device to call for help while I tried to save her. I saw that she was bleeding, so I cast Mend Wounds on her to close her wounds. But it was too late. I closed the hole in her chest, but she was already dead. The communication device that Valentina Yanis used logs the time of day during each use. From this log, we know that Valentina used this device at 3:04 p.m. This was an hour after the time of death. Okay, that pretty much cinches it for me that that she was puppeted because of the things, because she had multiple occasions where she just like said things. You know, so I think, yeah, I think we have our potential situation here figured out. Where are you going with this? Mr. Cuthbert, there was a witness who saw the victim before the body was found, Jan Hughes. He, along with another witness, spotted Bellwether walking in the hallways before the body was found. He said he was cleaning the halls, Bellwether knocked over a vase, there were shards and dirt everywhere. Wait, you saw the professor before the twins arrived? She broke the vase right in this hallway, 20 to 30 minutes before the twins found the body. Okay. 20 to 30 minutes before the body was found. Do you see the discrepancy, Mr. Cuthbert? Okay. Ooh! Wait. That couldn't be right. Bellwether died more than an hour before the body was found. Yep. Okay, hang on. Hang on, I need my evidence. Where's my evidence? It is... What is it? Animate corpse. Reanimates the target using life energy, creating an undead minion for the duration. The minion follows the caster's orders, but its intelligence is limited and it cannot speak. The minion can end the spell prematurely, but will only do so if ordered to by the caster. But arcane constructs. They can carry out simple tasks using the ones speak using the voice of Catherine Bellwether. These voice lines can only be changed or adjusted by the headmaster. I didn't read that part. Oh, you dirty dog. I think it might be him. Okay. Bellwether did more. Okay, so how did Jan see her half an hour after her death? I wonder, Mr. Cuthbert. How could one make a dead body move and walk around? No! Oh, she came to the same conclusion I just did. Oh, never mind. You know what? What? What anime, Dad? What are you talking about? I don't know what you mean. I object. I object to the thing I just brought up. We didn't just arrest the defendant based on those traces of necromancy. We arrested him because only one person in that school could have animated her corpse. An undead created within the Imperial Academy? How reprehensible. Objection! That's ridiculous. She had a hole in her chest when the twins found her. Oh man, was the hole in her chest like a voice box? From the construct? Jan Hughes would have noticed that. Animate corpse stops the flow of blood, so she wouldn't have tracked blood anywhere. The defendant is also proficient with illusion magic. He could have easily used an illusion spell to hide the undead Bellwether's wounds. How does drawing a moving picture of a dead person mean our client did the heckin' murder? That's right. He did. He just animated it. Hey, all right. There's this famous artist named Maurice Donim. I'd like to get him to do a rendering of the crime scene, please. But another party could have easily used illusion magic to disguise themselves as the victim. If that were true, how did they move the body to the classroom? Miss Steelwind, if your theory is true, it would mean that the murder occurred elsewhere. Will the Inquisition happen to know where? Regrettably, we do not. Then the prosecution's case against my client is still faulty. You can't convict my client without more evidence. I must agree with Mr. Cuthbert. With these new developments, the court sees it fit to suspend the trial for the time being. You will give the Inquisition time to investigate these unknowns. Court proceedings for this case will resume tomorrow morning. Court is adjourned. Okay. Okay, we got that going for us at least. Hey, are you feeling okay? A body was seen moving around an hour after death. Clearly wasn't Bellwether, or at the very least, she wasn't alive when Jan ran into her. So what was it? Tyrion? Steelwind was right about one thing. There was illusion magic involved. Which spell was it? Could it have been illusory disguise? Tyrion! Oh, what? You've been pacing around the lobby since the trial ended. Sorry, I was just thinking about Steelwind's theory. It's a little creepy when you think about it. Do you really think someone turned the professor into an undead? I don't think so. The prosecution's case is hinged on one key point. That Wallace was the only high-level necromancer nearby. We have to assume that he's the only person capable of using that type of magic. But then how was she walking around? I don't know. It doesn't make any sense. It's a given that Wallace didn't animate the body. No matter what they did, someone had to have used an illusion. Aren't there spells that can create freestanding illusions, not just disguises? I honestly don't know. We'd need to talk to someone who knows about that type of magic. Didn't Eris say that she was studying illusion magic? She might be able to give us a lead. Is that really a good idea? What do you mean? What if she's the one who created the illusion? What? was detecting fear from her again. Celeste, are you afraid of Eris? What? No! I saw it this morning, too. You always get really anxious whenever she's around. Oh, I didn't mean to be so obvious about it. What's wrong? Sorry, it's not based on anything real, but... how do I explain this? You already know that I was working as a mercenary before this. When you do that kind of work, you build up an instinct to sense danger. You kind of have to if you want to stay alive. Sorry, I never knew. Tyrion, I've fought literal monsters and barely escaped with my life. But when I'm near Eris, none of these creatures come even close. I get this feeling. It's like I'm in front of a predator that I could never hope to beat. Every instinct I have tells me to run whenever she's close by. Really? But she doesn't seem that dangerous, just a little mischievous. I know. I think maybe I'm just anxious or something. I should know better than anyone not to judge people by how they look. Sorry, forget I said anything. If you think we should talk to her, then we should do that. Celeste's instincts had never steered me wrong before. You mean the one time, the one previous time. I mean, okay, 100% success rate. I guess one victory is in fact. It's kind of like Godot, you know, where he's like, I have never lost a case before. Well, how many cases have you done? None. That's kind of where we're at here. She had always been reliable. The one time, she's had to be reliable. And if Eris was making her feel this way, that must have meant something. But that's all the more reason for us to talk to her. But aside from that, there was also something else that the prosecutor said. Mr. Cuthbert, there was a witness who saw the victim before the body was found. Jan Hughes. I've drank a lot of coffee, so I'm sure I'll do great. Yes, that is a major factor. Let's be real honest here. Real honest. Yes. He, along with another witness, spotted Bellwether walking in the hallways before the body was found. There was another witness who saw Bellwether walking around. Right. Jan probably isn't the most reliable witness. He was probably only half awake when he saw her. But do you think Steelwind will tell us who this witness was? We still have that deal with her. We won't lose anything by asking. Honestly, that's still bothering me. What is? Why was she so interested in who my biological parents are? So she thinks it's none of her business, and she's sad and angry. That was strange. She traded information about the investigation for it, too. Maybe she thinks you're her long-lost sister. Oh, I never even thought of that. Ugh, I don't know. Wouldn't that mean I'm the daughter of Lucio Steelwind? I think my dad would have thrown a fit if he ever heard that. You are pretty good at fighting. Ugh, that actually makes a lot of sense. I guess I like Arya, and I've always wished I had a sister. But I don't want to think about this now. Maybe you can ask her when you're at that brunch you strong-armed her into. Oh, I almost forgot! I can't believe I'm gonna meet Alteris Duskweaver. Anyway, we still had a long investigation ahead of us. We'd need to start by talking to Steelwind about that witness. Save your progress. Da 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 da. I miss that music so much. Val, you're back. Where's the produce for tonight's dinner? The grocers all said someone already collected the deliveries. Do you think someone stole them? I bet word about the trial has gotten out already. They're definitely not going to sell to us anymore. Oh, that dumb attorney just had to go and ruin everything. I don't know. I was watching the trial. Do you really think that boy killed Catherine? Of course he did! He's a necromancer, for crying out loud. If what they said was true, I'm one too. You know that's not the same thing. You only use healing magic. I wonder if I'm a necromancer. Oh, my profile says Arcane Art Necromancy. Come on, help me prep some of the leftover meat. I bet we can still make some soup out of it. I hate this. Yeah, I know. The students are totally going to complain about it. No, I hate magic. Sure, whatever, Val. What? We've gone to a graveyard. Tyrion, what are we doing here? I'm not sure. For some reason, I felt drawn to this place. I was supposed to make my way back to the academy, but I suddenly found myself here. It was strange, but I couldn't even remember how we'd arrived here. What? Wait, is that Eris? Celeste pointed further into the cemetery. Eris was standing there in front of a gravestone. She was placing flowers on it and appeared to be chanting a short prayer. Well, we found her. We should probably talk to her later. It would be rude to disturb her now. As we were about to leave, Eris suddenly turned to face us. She was far away, but she'd clearly noticed us and was beckoning us over. Oh, hello there. Were you two looking for me? Sorry, we were looking for you, but we understand if you'd rather talk later. No, I was just finishing up here. Indeed, you have something you wanted to talk to me about? Well, we wanted to ask you some questions about the case. First, you need to look at my runestone. Seriously? You're showing me the badge now? Badge, it's an attorney's runestone. Oh, okay, it's the same thing as last time. Okay. Well, it's a spell compendium. Think about this. Don't everything. Will be the fun in that. Okay. Let's talk. The trial. That was my first time watching a court trial. You were truly remarkable. Thank you. Were you in the gallery? I've always enjoyed watching physical battles in the theater. I now see that battles of wits can be just as entertaining to watch. Entertaining? Yeah, I know what you mean. You see, the odds are stacked against him, but then he suddenly pulls out this crazy deduction that takes the whole trial back. I've never really thought of it like that. But I'm sure it's far more entertaining to be the one making the deductions. I'm not really sure what you mean. I practice law so that I can help those persecuted by the justice system. I don't really do it to entertain myself. But is that really true? Don't you find the experience even the least bit entertaining, Tyrion? I wouldn't really put it that way. You're far too modest. You save people from the clutches of death. To your clients, you might as well be a knight in shining armor. Illusion magic. Earlier, you said that you were studying illusion magic. I am. Did you want to ask me about the prosecution's theory? Yes, actually. How did you know? Disguising an undead with an illusion is definitely possible. As Lady Steelwind said, illusory disguise would be the best spell to use for that. What if someone created a freestanding illusion? We know that Wallace didn't animate and disguise the professor's corpse. So what if the illusion wasn't disguising anything? Maybe someone created a freestanding illusion of Bellwether walking around. For something like that, one would probably use Major Illusion. Major Illusion. School is illusion, okay? Incantation, Mil Usso. Gesture, none. Duration, while concentrating. Concentration, yes. Creates a three-dimensional illusion. The illusion can take the form of any object or creature that can be contained in a 10-foot cube. While concentrating, the caster can animate and move the image to a different location within range. The illusion is purely visual and cannot be physically touched. Okay. So, alright. Major... Anyway... Interesting. What is it? I don't think major illusion is what we're looking for. Do you remember what Jan said? I was cleaning a mess in the hallways. Bellwether knocked over a vase and there were shards and dirt everywhere. If the Bellwether that Jan saw was a major illusion, then she couldn't have knocked over that vase. Illusions created by that spell don't have any mass. I see. How perceptive of you. Aren't there any other illusion spells that have mass? No. All known illusion spells in We're in Guard can only recreate visual and auditory sensations. None of those spells can create something that someone can touch. So that means that someone disguised something to make it look like Bellwether. Why the look of suspicion, Celeste? Sorry, I wasn't... Calm yourself. I was only joking. I don't blame you for considering every possibility. In fact, I'm flattered you think I'm capable of pulling off such an elaborate ruse. Anyways, this does tell us one important thing. What's that? Oh, what's that? The Bellwether that Jan saw had a physical mass to it. It wasn't a freestanding illusion. It was someone disguised as her. Alright. She yelled, "Be quiet," even though he didn't do anything. Yeah. Gravestone. It's quite a shame, isn't it? Eris looked pensively toward the gravestone. The name on the stone said Emily Grant, and her lifetime appeared to have been awfully short. She must have been only 12 years old when she died. Sorry for interrupting you. Was she someone you knew? I'm actually here on Wallace's behalf. Wallace knew her? Wallace joined the academy as part of a program run by Headmaster Redmond. At the time, the headmaster was reaching out to mages among the common folk. He had started a program to admit them to the academy through a scholarship program. Both Emily and Wallace were among those mages. Wow, that must have been an amazing opportunity for them. The truth is, neither of them actually cared about learning magic. The real problem was that Emily had a deadly illness. She and Wallace were poor orphans, and they obviously didn't have the resources to treat it. But if they enrolled in the academy would be obligated to give her medical treatment. The Imperial Academy teaches the best mages in the kingdom. They thought that curing her illness would be an easy task for the Academy's healers. But they were mistaken, I'm afraid. I'm sure you know this by now, but healing spells can only treat wounds. They can't cure illnesses. Emily's condition only got worse over the years, and eventually she succumbed to her illness. Wallace was furious. He didn't understand why the kingdom was outlawing magic that could save lives. And that's why he decided to learn it himself. Yes, the headmaster was inspired by Wallace's resolve. Oh no, the resolve of Wallace the Necromancer. He gave him access to the Academy's forbidden tomes of necromancy. And with the headmaster's guidance, Wallace learned the spells that he knows today. So that's why. He was supposed to say a secret between him and the headmaster. But I'm sure you know how that turned out. Whoa! We got another creepy minute. Aye! Alright. Let's see. It was a grave for an individual that I didn't know. Out of respect, it'd be best to leave it undisturbed. It was the grave of Emily Grant. Such a shame that she died so young. I briefly paid my respects. F in the chat. Okay. Is that it? I guess so. Were we supposed to go to the library next? Oh, it's you, Mr. Cuthbert. Steelwind? What are you doing here? Yeah, the screen keeps glitching every time a goth student appears. It's weird. I keep having these weird little, and the text messes up. It says one thing, and then it says something different. I once again came across Steelwind, like yesterday. She was the only one in the room. But was she seriously carrying out the investigation alone here? Searching the classroom was one thing, but searching this entire library seemed a little ridiculous. After what happened at the trial yesterday, I decided it would be best to start my investigation here. Wallace was in the library for the entire morning. If she was insistent that he did it, this would probably be the best place. Actually, since I have you here, have you seen Eris Ilmater anywhere? It's my understanding that you're both acquainted with each other. Eris? What do you want with her? It's not for anything serious, mind you. It's just that oaf of a commander lost her spell compendium. Now we need her to produce another one for our records. If you see her, please let her know that we'd like to speak with her. We saw her earlier in the cemetery nearby, but I have no idea where she is now. Once again, I have to compensate for that idiot's mistakes. Anyways, I was wondering if I could ask you some questions about the case? Very well. I suppose I still need to honor our deal from earlier. Alright. We have Jan's statement. But, let's see, talk. Any leads? Have you had any luck finding the scene of the crime? Unfortunately, I haven't. From the witnesses' testimonies, we have a rough idea of the route Bellwether took, but none of the rooms we've checked have any sign of struggle. Why are you so sure that a struggle happened? I'm mainly basing that off of the Eunice sisters' testimonies. Valerie, in particular, noticed that the bleeding came from a wound in her chest. Regrettably, the body's wounds were mended. So, we can't determine what kind of weapon the murderer used. Alright, the other witness. During the trial, you mentioned that another witness saw Bellwether walking around yesterday. Who is this person, and why haven't they been called to testify? I'm sorry, but I can't tell you that. Steelwind's posture tightened. Something was making her uneasy. You've been pretty transparent with your investigation so far. I have no obligation to justify myself to you. Nor do I have an obligation to help the opposition. Didn't we have a deal? Hiding information doesn't exactly seem fair to us. I believe I've given you plenty of information already. So regardless of what I said before, the answer is still no. Her family is dangerous. Oh. The Eye of Horus got a stray thought from her. Her family is dangerous? What did she mean by that? Is there something about this witness's family that you're worried about? No, this could be a feint. I'm sorry, but you'll have to try harder than that if you want to bluff me. Why would she go to such lengths to hide one witness's identity? She was perfectly fine with revealing elements of the investigation yesterday. Maybe I needed to try looking somewhere else. Psychological profile. Okay. Valentina? Anything about this? No. Do you have anything to say about your heiress? Have anything to say about yourself? I was surprised to see you conducting the investigation, Steelwind. Why don't you leave things to Commander White? Please, I can barely trust that oaf to make me coffee. After last time, I feel much more confident in overseeing the investigation myself. The Inquisition didn't seem to be helping her at all. They were just standing guard while she did all the work. That didn't help with the profile. What about, Oh, we don't actually have, Orem here. The Theodore Redmond. I wonder if Theodore Redmond is the culprit. I kind of wonder. Alright, well, the locker rooms, huh? What is this, the sauna? What the heck? We're in just a modern high school now? We spent some time wandering through the academy. That's when we overheard a conversation from a nearby room. From what I understand, Miss Steelwind has already moved the investigation elsewhere. How long must I wait before I can retrieve my things? Sorry, old-timer. Orders are orders. Nothing comes in or out till this case is over and done with. Commander White? And the headmaster, too? Oh, hello, Mr. Cuthbert. Hey, kid. In any case, there are other matters I must attend to. Please inform me when I can reclaim my things. Sure thing. It looked like Commander White was standing guard in front of this locker room. But it didn't look like he's conducting any sort of investigation. Was he here on Steelwind's orders? He might be able to tell us who this secret witness was. Yeah, the headmaster. What was the headmaster talking to you about? He has some items stored in one of the faculty lockers. The problem is, Steelwind said no one gets in or out of this room. Except for her and you two, I guess. She won't even let the other knights in here. Really? Is that normal? Nope, but things rarely are when she's calling the shots. I just go with it. Why would she give me access to the crime scene if she wasn't even letting the knights in? Steelwind's orders. The exception of me and Celeste McCoy, Prosecutor Steelwind isn't allowing anyone inside key areas of the academy. Okay. I don't know what her deal is, but she's been acting strange lately. She's been really paranoid, that girl. Frankly, I can't tell what's going through her head. Steelwind's paranoia. The paranoia of Arya Steelwind. You mentioned that the prosecutor has been paranoid lately. Do you think it has something to do with this case? Nah, it started way before that. Lately, she's been using the Inquisition to investigate a lot of non-magical homicides. What? Wouldn't it be easier to work with the relevant law enforcement for that? I don't know why, but she's convinced that these cases have magic involved. But every time we scan one of those crime scenes, nothing turns up. I gotta say, though, if it weren't for the scans, I might actually agree with her. Why do you say that? These homicides, I haven't ever seen anything like them. They're probably some of the most screwed up cases I've ever handled. And I've seen some things. For one of those cases, we had ourselves a disgruntled spouse. She found out that her man was going around town with a barkeep, if you catch my meaning. Wait, what do you mean? They were making the beast with two backs. What? He was two-timing her. I don't know this lingo or him. Oh my god. He was a married man having sex with another woman, Tyrion! Oh. Okay. Oh, man. I like the Shakespeare there, too, by the way. I'll leave you to guess which thing was Shakespeare. Othello, to be exact. Anyways, you know what the spouse does? She stalks the poor woman. She started leaving threatening notes all around where she worked. The barkeep told the city watch all about what was happening. But no matter how much they staked out the tavern, they could never catch her. Then one day, the barkeep arrived home. Little did she know, the spouse was waiting there for her. Poor lady never had a chance. Then to tie the whole thing together, the spouse waits for her husband to get home. She cooks him a big meat pie, using the barkeep's remains. We don't have any comment on that? Holy crap! That's some condemned criminal origins here stuff there. Present evidence. Kid, are you going to show me this thing every time we meet? It proves I'm an attorney. Yeah, I know. Seriously, you're just like Steelwind. She does this too? Oh no! She presents her prosecutor's version all the time? Yes! We love it, don't we? We love it. Oh, that's amazing. Alright, possible explanation. Wow, that story is pretty. I know. Steelwind thinks someone's developed a new type of magic that can control people's minds. And these homicides were some kind of sick test run. Magic that can affect people's minds? Wouldn't Mage Blight make more sense? Mage Blight? When a mage overuses their magic and can have pretty bad consequences on their mind, they temporarily lose grip of reality and begin seeing things that aren't there. When a mage becomes like that, it almost never ends well. They basically become psychotic. They enter a frenzy and begin firing spells randomly, which only makes it worse. I've seen my fair share of Mage Blight cases, and this wasn't like that. Not all the perps were mages, and the ones that were didn't even use their spells. One thing was that each of the perps almost seemed to wake up after we arrested them. All of them said things like it wasn't me, or I didn't have a choice. They didn't have a choice? What could that mean? I doubt it means anything. Sometimes people can't face the things they've done. It's easier to say that you had no control than to take responsibility. Okay. The secret witness. I wondered if I could mislead the commander into revealing who the secret witness is. During the trial, Steelwind mentioned that someone other than Jan Hughes saw Bellwether walk around. Have you seen them around lately? We wanted to speak with them. Nice try, kid. Well, it was worth a shot. Honestly, I couldn't tell you if I wanted to. I don't think anyone other than Steelwind knows who the witness is. I sure as hell don't. What? She was hiding it even from the Inquisition commander? Why was she being so secretive? It seemed like the commander didn't know who this secret witness was either. This isn't getting us anywhere. Steelwind's behavior is strange, though. Perhaps we could try analyzing her behavior. If I did that, I might be able to figure out why she's acting so strangely. Let's take a moment to work through this. Steelwind's behavior has been strange this time around. She's hiding elements of the case, even from the commander. anyone can tell that she doesn't have much faith in him. I'm standing right here. But this is the first time I've seen her hide key details of a case from him. What is motivating Steelwind to keep secrets? There has to be a reason why she's being so secretive.
Maybe.
Paranoia, right? Her actions must be driven by paranoia. She's been hoarding information about the case, after all. There's only one reason why she wouldn't utilize the Inquisition like she usually does. It's because she doesn't trust them. I hate to say it, but that doesn't really surprise me. She's always been standoffish with us. But there is one exception. Who is Steelwind trusted for this case? There are individuals whom she's trusted more than the Inquisition during this case. Yeah, the Tyrion and Celeste. She's let us investigate the crime scenes without any restrictions. Yeah, I didn't notice that until now. Does she really trust us that much? I don't think personal trust is the reason. Why does Steelwind trust us this time? We don't usually interact with her, and she's worked with the Inquisition on plenty of cases that we weren't even involved in.
What?
Tyrion is...
Maybe.
Okay, isn't a member of the nobility. I bet that's it. No, there was a key difference between us and the Inquisition. We didn't answer to anyone. We weren't subject to corruption for the nobility. So what would that make... Oh, we're not part of the Inquisition. No? Wallace, Steelwind... It's got to be... Tyrion isn't controlled by the nobility? Yeah. Steelwind doesn't know much about us, but she does know that we aren't prone to noble corruption. Right, you did just indict a noble last week. Meanwhile, the Inquisition usually bends to the nobility's whims. Can't argue with you there. I think Orem is probably one of my favorite characters. He's just like Gumshoe, but even more, I don't know, just cynical. Using my intuition, I could tell that she's worried about the witness's family. And if she's worried about corruption from the nobility, that can only mean one thing. What can I infer about the secret witness? The witness is a noble. The witness has to belong to a noble family. That's why she's so wary of interference. But we're obviously not going to do anything corrupt. Oh, really? Why is she hiding the witness's identity from us? I remember that I thought I saw through the eye. Her family is dangerous, she said. This is true. This is true. Yes. She's worried about our safety. Yeah, I guess harassing a noble could put you in danger, but... I'm the protege of the infamous Ruby Timora. Yeah, it's not as if we aren't already on the nobility's bad side. I'm sure House Pierce still has it out for us. They are definitely the ones sending those rogues into your house. What? Don't worry about it. I've got it under control. This can only mean that the family we're dealing with is even more powerful than House Pierce. If the prosecution is wary of them, they must be as powerful as the Steelwinds. Wait. Don't tell me you think we're dealing with one of the four pillars. I have to ask about that. I always hear you and Ruby say it a lot, but who are the four pillars? It's a name people use for the four most powerful noble houses. They're led by the dukes and duchesses. House Freyga, House Van Sanctus, House Sybil, and of course House Steelwind. The four of them stand at the top of Weirengard's hierarchy. So Steelwind is one of them. The four pillar families. Yep, they're Steelwind, Freyga, Van Sanctus, and Sybil. Huh. What is it? Steelwind's paranoia all started after she investigated this room. We were at the crime scene and she left to follow a lead. But an hour later, she came back to the lecture hall and basically booted everyone out. Her behavior changed after investigating this room. That means that she found something here. And that something must point to a family from the four pillars. The commander shifted slightly. You know, Steelwind's orders say I can't snoop around here, but you two, on the other hand, don't worry, just leave it to us. I have some school records that say which locker belongs to which student. You can use it to tell whose locker you're looking at. All right. Let's see. Oh, there's an arcane construct in the back here. It's probably here to aid the students. Anyways, I don't think it's relevant to our investigation. Just in case, I made a note of it in my runestone. Construct in the locker room. Really? I used the legend that the commander gave me. I looked carefully across the list to find the names of some notable students. Wallace Nightgrave, Miriam Frege, Jaden Von Sanctus, and Warren Sybil. Frege, Von Sanctus, and Sybil. Well, let's look in Wallace's locker. Open the locker with Wallace's ID number. Inside, I found a bottle of fragrant liquid and something that looks like a makeup kit. Huh. Why does Wallace have this stuff? It did seem strange, but it wasn't my place to judge. I should take a look through the other lockers. Look at the list. Miriam Frege. Inside, I found several stacks of worn-out textbooks and notebooks. Wait a minute. These notebooks all have Wallace's name on them. I opened the notebook and quickly scanned through its pages. It appeared to be notes on the art of necromancy. These are Wallace's notebooks. But why are they in Miriam Frege's locker? Did she steal his things? Oh! There's makeup and perfume in one of them. They switched his lockers. What was going on here? I began taking all the textbooks and notebooks one after another. The locker was really cramped. But then I noticed a stain near the back of it. I took everything out to get a better look at it. What? I think this is dried blood. Wait, Celeste, scan it for traces. No, there aren't any traces on it. Evidence in the locker. Alright. I used the legend that the commander gave me. Jaden. I opened the locker with Jaden Von Sanctus's ID number. Inside I found several bottles of some kind of transparent lotion. There's nothing but lotion in here and also a distinct smell. Oh. I wonder why a student would need this much lotion. I took one of the bottles to inspect it more closely. What the heck? Wait, Tyrion, don't touch those with your hands! From the label, it appears to be some kind of sanitizing liquid. It's a little strange, but it doesn't seem related to the case. What the heck? Oh, is it? Yes, if a yes. If a necromancer pulls you over and you steal his necromancy notebook, he's not the necromancer anymore. You are the necromancer. That is actually how it works. I had a friend it happened to, and listen, I don't want you to have... There's a lot of necromancers out there who are going to give you fake news. Yeah. No, that's how it works exactly. All right, Warren Sybil. I opened the locker. Oh, man. That's Yahoo Answers. Oh, I'm so old. I opened the locker with Warren Sybil's ID number. Inside, I found some textbooks and a neatly stacked deck of tarot cards. Oh, it's like those cards that fortune tellers use. I wonder if this student studies divination magic. But anyways, I don't think this is related to the case. I think it was the legend. Okay. We found a few things, but I can't really make sense of any of it. We should look at this from the prosecutor's perspective. Perhaps we should go down the prosecutor's path with Miles Edgeworth. Oh wait, no, it was renamed to Prosecutor's Gambit. I forgot about that. Maybe we should send one of these students to the chess dimension. Steelwind found something in one of the lockers. Whose lockers had the most suspicious evidence? And whoever it was, it made her extremely paranoid.
What if...
That would be Miriam Frege. We found some insanely suspicious things in Frege's locker. It had Wallace's notebooks and even some blood. You're not... Yeah, the meme is from 2012. That's like 3 or 4 years ago. Yeah, exactly. It was not that long ago, trust me. Yeah. But that blood is certainly strange. It implies that something bloody was stored there. It could only be the murder weapon. Do you think someone stole it? No, actually. I think it was Steelwind who took it. Oh, right. Aura mentioned that she investigated this room. She must have taken the murder weapon as evidence. But with that said, there's something else that's strange about Miriam Frege's locker. It had a lot of Wallace's possessions. Bro, I am calling it now that that's actually Wallace's locker, and the two were changed, and that's actually going to bite us hard in the next court sequence. I am just calling that right now, okay? It's possible that she really did steal these items from him, but it's more likely that this locker isn't actually hers. I wasn't looking at the text! Tyrion, stop it! You're not supposed to be on the same page. I'm supposed to be mentally ahead of you. Stop it. Remember what Wallace told us before? Sometimes the other students steal the ID number off my locker and switch it with another student's. I thought it was funny whenever that student got angry at me. So someone switched the nameplates? This means that this isn't Miriam Frega's locker, it's Wallace's. But that would mean that the bloody object came from Wallace's locker. It appears so. Evidence in the locker. But if that's true, why didn't Steelwind present the bloody item during the trial? Tyrion even knows the names of his clients. He does. He actually knows who his clients are. Wow. And let's be honest here, he's kind of using a form of logic, isn't he? So, like, he's super powerful. Look, he's got widget. He's got logic. He knows his clients' names. Is he the most powerful attorney that we've played in all of these attorney games so far? Could he be? But if that's true, why didn't Steelwind present the bloody item during the trial? I proved that Bellwether was wounded before Valerie healed her. Wouldn't that have been the perfect time to present what she found? It was a bloody item found in the defendant's locker, after all. Okay, wow, I love this. I love this. He's actually thinking through the things that I thought we should think through. Oh my gosh. Wow. I'm floored. Right, that is weird. There was something more to this than I wasn't seeing, but what? I think we'll just have to ask Steelwind ourselves. Yeah, do we have enough to confront her, or no? Let's go to the cemetery. Hey, I can't tell you that she needs your spell compendium. No. Hey, by the way, she needs your spell compendium, but I guess we can't tell you that yet. Can we talk to Wallace some more in the dungeons? No. Okay. We can go to the foyer, but let's go back to the library. We should have enough information now. Let's have a talk with the prosecutor. Please just tell me what's wrong. Are you mad at me? I'm not mad, okay? Can we just get to work? The twins' voices rang out from the kitchen. It sounded like they were in an argument. To be fair, that makeup... You know what? It's true. I'm not going to be judgmental about that. It could be Wallace's. You're correct. You are entirely correct. You think they're okay? It sounds private. We shouldn't get involved. I guess you're right. I slowly closed the door to the library and kept my mind on the investigation. Fine. You want to know what I think? You don't get to say that you hate magic. Look at how many problems it's causing for us. Yeah, for this dumb job, none of this even matters for you. What? Those people from the church always say that mages are chosen by divine right. And they're right. You don't get to complain about being better than me, Val. I'm not better than you. Yes, you are. And I'm so sick of pretending you're not. You were helping Jan while I was jealous of how easy I thought his job was. You outed yourself as a mage trying to save Catherine bloody Bellwether. Tina, that's not... I hate how much I'm holding you back. I know you. I know how hard you've been working in the library. You're destined for great things. Tina, I haven't learned anything. Come on, don't give me that. You've been heading straight to the library after work for years. Yeah, and I still haven't learned anything. What? I can't wrap my head around how it all works. I've been trying to for years. I don't understand Aether. I don't understand spell formulas. It's like they're speaking another language. I can do magic, but I'm nothing like the students here. But you know healing magic. It's the most basic spell. Children in the theurgy program learned that in their first class. It took me years to even figure that out. Why didn't you ever tell me about this? Because magic is the only thing I have. You're better than me at everything. What? I'm not. I'm always making mistakes and forcing you to clean up after me. You only have this job because you begged the headmaster to hire me with you. You're amazing. The students here are spoiled aristocrats and they love your food. I can't even fry an egg right. You're not the one holding us back. Do you really think my cooking is that good? I don't think I could live without eating your food every day. Remember when I was just learning to cook at the orphanage? We were just a pair of dumb kids, but you were there with me every step of the way. You were there for me. I would have never gotten this good if you weren't always with me. Tina, I'm sorry I never told you this sooner. I could never do this without you. Neither could I. I'm sorry for being so stupid before. It's okay. I was also being... We should get started on that soup. Right. Can you grab me all the leftover meat from the freezer? Alright, well that was nice. Nice and wholesome. Oh, you're back? We've uncovered a few things during our investigation. Steelwind, are you acquainted with a student named Miriam Frege? She shifted slightly. It was subtle. She shifted slightly, but it was subtle. Suitably. But I could see her discomfort. I underestimated him. She's afraid. It's afraid! I said it before, Mr. Cuthbert. I won't fall for such an obvious bluff. It's not a bluff, Steelwind, and I'll prove it using the evidence we've gathered. Secret witness. Can we... Let's see... We don't have a psychological profile on her, though, do we? Why are you giving us access to the crime scene, but not the Inquisition? They work under you, don't they? I simply trust you two. Are you implying that I shouldn't? Oh! That alone was enough to blow the psychological profile to max? Wow. Okay. Well, let's talk. Steelwind was paranoid, and for whatever reason, it was due to the involvement of Miriam Frege. If I could convince her to reveal why she's being so secretive, she might give me more information. Alright. You've been behaving strangely, Steelwind. Even the Knights of the Inquisition have noticed. Just tell me the truth. Why are you being so paranoid? I'm not sure what you're trying to imply, Mr. Cuthbert. But think about my behavior has changed. Alright, hang on. Steelwind suspects that Miriam Frege is involved in this crime somehow. Miriam belongs to a pillar family. I'm just thinking of the pillar men from JoJo. And casting suspicion on her would cause them to intervene. The prosecutor wants to avoid that outcome at all costs. That fear could be used against her. Okay. Okay. So we gotta intimidate her. Okay. I've prosecuted the defendant the same way I always have. Same way I've always have. I always have. Present. Evidence in the locker. And what is this supposed to be? It's clear evidence that your behavior has changed. Please, what kind of fool do you take me for? I've already told you, your bluffs won't work on me. Orders. Yeah. Her orders, then. You've ordered the Knights to stay away from the crime scene, and you've even taken it upon yourself to conduct the investigation yourself. So, hang on a second. Let's add this to his ability list, because this is technically the Magatama. Kind of. It's like half the Magatama and half the, they called it like the social boss fights from Deus Ex Human Revolution. So yeah, I think Tyrion might be the most powerful attorney we've ever played as. This is not normal behavior for a prosecutor. I took these actions because the Inquisition is incompetent. How could I possibly trust them with anything? The Knights are incompetent, but even you see the value of delegation. During Celeste's case, you still delegated tasks to the Inquisition. You could have easily investigated the McCoy Tavern yourself. This academy is huge. You wouldn't conduct your investigation this way unless you had a good reason. Then why don't you enlighten me? Why would I act in such a way? Alright, what would cause me to behave so, strangely? The Four Pillar Families. You know that the Inquisition is corrupt and will bend to the nobility. So what would happen if a powerful noble were publicly involved in this case? With that noble's influence, they'd probably order the Inquisition to conceal their involvement. A high-profile noble is involved in this case, Steelwind, and I believe that noble is Miriam Frege. Again with this? Do you think you can bluff me by throwing out the names of random nobles? Not every noble is a malevolent criminal like Garrett Pierce. I've said it before, and I'll say it again. My investigation doesn't involve the Freges. Nothing about this case has anything to do with House Frege. What about the evidence in the locker? Then how do you explain this, Steelwind? The commander told us that you were following a lead in the locker room yesterday. We investigated the lockers of students from the four-pillar families. We found stains of blood in a locker with Miriam Frege's ID number, and it was presumably left by a bloody object. The bloody object must have been taken by someone, and you became extremely paranoid after you found something in the locker room. If I had to guess, I'd say that you took the bloody object as evidence. And what evidence do you have to support these outrageous claims? What? The only thing you have evidence of is a bloodstain. There's a myriad of explanations for that. Everything else you mentioned is pure speculation. You can't prove that piece of evidence exists. I could have found any number of things in that room, or possibly nothing at all. If you don't present what, I'll have no choice but to pull the owner of that locker. Yes, threaten. You found an object in the locker with Miriam Frege's nameplate on it. If you don't present what you found to the court, I'll have no choice but to pull the owner of that locker onto the stand. That's ridiculous. We both know that the locker in question belongs to Wallace Nightgrave. Can you unequivocally prove that, Steelwind? Because the way I see it, there's a lot of room for doubt there. Enough doubt for me to pull Lady Frege onto the witness stand. But if I had more context, maybe I wouldn't have to resort to that. Her brow furrowed a bit. She was searching for a counter-argument. But she just exhaled in resignation. I'd finally got her. Argument 1. Oh, well played, Mr. Cuthbert. I suppose I don't have a choice, do I? The truth. Just so we're clear, I wasn't acting to protect the nobility. But I'll admit that Miriam Frege was the other witness that saw Bellwether that day. I see. I had some suspicions, but there's also another matter. Okay. Steelwind tensed once again. She was still hesitant. When I was investigating the body, I found this. Evidence of academic dishonesty. A tightly packed folder containing several documents. The documents contain evidence detailing multiple instances of plagiarism, fraud, bribery of school officials, and various other offenses committed by Miriam Frege. What the? It looks like Miriam's been cheating. But why would Bellwether have something like this? From the way it's arranged in this folder, I think it might have been blackmail. Miriam Frege is considered a prodigy in the practice of conjuration magic. She's won a litany of awards, and she will most definitely... Whoop, wait a minute. And she will most definitely graduate with honors. If those files were to reach the public, it would absolutely ruin her reputation. Do you think the professor was trying to threaten her? It appears so. When I discovered this, several elements of the case were still unknown. That's when I found this in Wallace Nightgrave's locker. A bloody rapier. A rapier covered in blood was found in Wallace Nightgrave's locker. Apparently it's a valuable family heirloom to House Frege. It was reported stolen by Miriam Frege weeks before the murder. It's very likely that this was the murder weapon. This rapier is a valuable family heirloom for House Frege. And a few weeks ago, Miriam reported that the rapier was stolen from her room. But why was it found in Wallace's locker? Not that I'm complaining, but why didn't you present this in court? To be honest, I'd like to avoid involving House Frege by any means necessary. I knew it! You're just protecting her, aren't you? Miss McCoy, do you recall how Weirenguard's justice system works? To acquit a defendant, you need to unequivocally prove that they didn't commit the crime. To do that, they either need a solid alibi, or we need to prove that someone else committed the crime. What do you suppose will happen if you bring Miriam Frege onto the stand? House Frege won't allow one of its members to be indicted in a court of law. They'll plant and forge evidence to implicate your defendant, and they'll use the Inquisition to do so. Even I wouldn't be able to stop them should it come to that. Oh man. Mordenkainen, please write me a paper on necromancy, 4 pages, single spacing APA citations. Yes. Nice. Okay, I just gotta quick and do this again, I guess. We just lost a slight bit of progress. Yeah. We'll just blow our way through here. Alright. Was nice and simple. Alright. We're lightly catching back up. Well, I don't have a choice. Alright, I'm gonna save again in case that happens again. That was a little concerning. Alright, but we're back. We are so back. Alright. Talk the truth. Okay. Miriam Frege, some suspicions. There's also another matter. The evidence, right, and then the rapier. Yep. Alright. The rapier is found in the heirloom, right. Can you do about it? Yes. You need a solid alibi or prove that someone else committed the crime. Allow one of its members be indicted. They'll plant and forge evidence. Yes. I thought the steel winds were powerful too. I don't have the support of my house. Right now, I'm just a prosecutor, nothing more. Steelwind, you know that this isn't fair for us. Just do nothing. Do nothing and let us win. Celeste, if we can't go after Miriam, then you can at least help us save Wallace. I'm not going to do that. Why? What if Miriam Frege is the real killer? Her sword is the murder weapon, and Bellwether was trying to blackmail her. I seem to recall another case where an innocent person's sword was used to frame them. Oh, got her. That's... As a prosecutor, it is not my place to decide who's guilty and who's not. I won't engage in corruption, even if it's to counter corruption from another noble house. I'm sorry. Do you know where Miriam is right now? Did you not hear what I just said? You can't let her think there's even the slightest possibility you'll indict her. She'll bring the entire wrath of House Frege down on you. I won't be able to protect you if that happens. I don't need your protection, and I can't do anything for Wallace unless I know everything that happened. Frege has the last piece I need to put everything together. Well, I suppose I don't have much of a choice, do I? Her dormitory is room 107. I imagine that she'll be there, considering that classes are suspended. Thank you, Steelwind. If I don't tell you, I'm sure you'll probably just find out using some other means. But please, Mr. Cuthbert, exercise caution. Alright. So we're going to the dorm. I followed Steelwind's directions and found Miriam Frege's dorm room. The door leading inside seemed a lot more ornately decorated than the other rooms. I went to knock on the door, not realizing that it was only partially closed. As my fist came into contact with the wood, I accidentally pushed it open. As the door swung open, I made eye contact with the girl inside. She seemed to be studying at a desk, but now she was staring at me, stunned. I slowly saw her expression shift from a puzzled look to a furious and violent scowl. Excuse me! How dare you barge into my room! Sorry, I was trying to knock, but... Construct! Remove these hoodlums from my room! Acknowledged. From the corner of the room, an arcane construct stood up and began charging towards me at a terrifying speed. Before I even knew what was happening, it raised its fist to strike me. Flustered, I fell back and raised my arms to shield myself. I closed my eyes, bracing for the impending impact, but instead, I heard the clang of steel striking stone. Confused, I opened my eyes to see Celeste standing between the construct and me. Her sword was drawn, and it was locked with the construct's fist. Despite the construct's imposing size and strength, Celeste was slowly pushing it back. Upon taking a closer look at Celeste, the girl narrowed her eyes. Construct, stand down. Acknowledged. I'm terribly sorry for that. I wasn't aware that this man was your servant. Celeste's hands were firmly clenched around the hilt of her sword, but she pulled it away without another word. I haven't noticed you around campus. Are you a new student? If the academy allowed her to bring her retainer, she must be important. What are you talking about? I saw an opportunity. Yes, my master just enrolled here recently. What? Celeste squinted at me, confused. I just tilted my head toward Miriam. Yes, I just started here. I take it you're Miriam Frege? Yes, it seems that my reputation precedes me. Miriam Frege, occupation student, age 17. The spoiled daughter of House Frege, one of the four pillar families. She's extremely arrogant, but appears to excel at her studies at the Imperial Academy. I can't imagine she has many genuine friends. Oof. It's a pleasure to make your acquaintance, lady. I'm Celeste. She caught herself, pausing for what was a very awkward moment. Steelwind. I'm Celeste Steelwind. Was she serious? There was no way Miriam was going to believe. Steelwind? It's a pleasure to meet another member of such an esteemed house. She must be from a distant branch family. Father may have a use for her. Wait, she was actually buying this? I just moved in, and I thought that I should introduce myself, seeing as you're a top student in the field of conjuration. Conjuration. Yes. Well, there was no backing out now. Yeah. Why don't you look at my attorney's runestone? A runestone? I have one as well, but mine is the latest model. You have a newer model? Can I see it? What? No! Oh, no. Questions. Miss Frege, I was wondering if we could ask you some questions about... Excuse me, I don't believe anyone has permitted you to speak. Oh, here we go. Celeste was still smiling, but I could faintly hear her teeth grinding together. So, we heard about what happened to Professor Bellwether. I can't believe it. Yes, it's quite tragic what happened to her. She had always been a friend of House Frege. She was obviously going to be more receptive to Celeste Steelwind. It might be better to let Celeste take the lead on the questioning. We heard that you saw her on the day of the murder. Could you tell us more about what happened? Oh, you heard about that from your relative, did you? If you don't mind me asking, why are you so interested? She's not like Arya, is she? Oh, you know, I'm just curious is all. You know how uneventful life can be sometimes. Being a noble and all. Alright, she really needed to tone it down. Oh, is that all? I was worried you were going down the same path as that poor, confused Arya. Well, I'm in the middle of a study break anyway. I suppose I have some time to spill some tea. Speaking of construct, please prepare us some tea. Use that lotus tea we imported from the Eastern Kingdoms. Oh, no. She might be useful. I should win her favor. Acknowledged. Lotus tea? You have lotus juice? I could feel myself slowly losing control of this situation. What did you see? I heard that you were one of the last people who saw the professor. Where did this happen? I was in the hallways when I saw her coming out of the headmaster's office. She appeared to be heading towards the library. Do you remember what time this happened? I'm not really sure, honestly. It's a little embarrassing, but I have a bad habit of getting too absorbed in my work. Sometimes entire hours will pass without my notice. Do you have a rough idea, at least? I believe it was in the morning. So it was before her meeting with the headmaster? Did anything seem off about her? No, it was a short encounter. I merely greeted her, and she responded in kind. That thought just now, what did it mean? What did it say? Or at least that's what should have happened. Oh. I slowly glanced at Celeste and caught her attention. Using small motions, I shook my head. Miriam was holding something back. Were you and the professor really on good terms? I like that it's changed her name. I just noticed to Celeste Steelwind in quotes. I heard she was pretty mean towards the other students. Towards the riffraff, maybe, but not to students like us. She was my personal instructor during summer break. She has fulfilled a similar role to my sister when she studied here. She was a longtime friend of House Frege. That's why we were planning on appointing her as the new headmaster. Wait, what did you just say? Oh, we got another motive. Wait, we didn't mean to leave. No, go back. Replacing the headmaster. Did you just say they were going to appoint Bellwether as the new headmaster? Oh, I'm surprised you didn't know. House Frege holds several seats on the Academy's board, along with the Grand General. We were making plans to have her replace that lout Redmond. They were going to sack the headmaster? Did Headmaster Redmond know about this? Oh, of course not. This was part of a large-scale plan. Along with Redmond, we were also going to replace all of the staff members with arcane constructs. We had to keep everything under wraps, or else the help would have left before we were ready. And where would that leave us? But Jan supposedly overheard Bellwether talking about the constructs. Did Bellwether prematurely reveal the plan to Theodore? Or was Jan lying about how he found out? But alas, with Bellwether gone, we'll have to delay our plans. Okay. This is supposed to be kept a secret, but according to Jan, Bellwether revealed this plan to the headmaster during a meeting a few weeks ago. Frege's rapier. So we heard that Arya took your rapier as evidence for this case. Can you believe her? She still won't give it back to me. My father will have her head if I can't get it back soon. How did it even become a part of the investigation anyways? I don't know. Arya won't tell me anything. I swear if that necromancer was the one who stole it, I'll execute him myself. So someone did steal it from you? Yes, from right out of my room. When did this happen? About a few weeks ago. I noticed when I came back from one of my classes. Someone removed the rapier from its display case in my room. How did they get into your room in the first place? Do you think someone used magic to teleport past the door? Please, I'm a master of conjuration magic. If someone attempted that, my enchantments would have shunted them out. That meant that the thief came through one of the doors or windows. I bet it was that necromancer. I'm sure a street child like him just knows how to pick a lock. Your grades. I've heard that you're one of the Academy's top students. Your grades must be amazing. Of course. As an inheritor of House Frege, my grades are impeccable, so she's happy. It feels good to have my greatness recognized, she thinks. That was strange. I didn't see anything contradictory through the eye this time. Was she just delusional about how good a student she was? Oh no. Is this a debest, not a debest, a winner thing? Like, does she genuinely think that she's a good student? That'd be interesting. I gestured to Celeste to continue pressing her. What kind of magic do you study here? You must be joking. I study magic from the School of Conjuration, just like most members of my house. The School of Conjuration. That's a type of magic that specializes in spatial manipulation, right? Yes, I consider myself quite the expert in that field. Well, the Crown Prince himself has asked me for my assistance in a research study. It's nice to finally work with someone of my caliber. On this stream, Eustace Winter. Yeah, he's a hero in this house. He is. Again, I didn't see any thoughts that contradicted what she was saying. If she was smart enough to get the Crown Prince's attention, why would she be cheating? Good question. Arya Steelman. You said something about my wayward relative before. Were you talking about Arya? Oh, I'm terribly sorry if I offended you. But I'm sure it must pain you to see the way that she's been acting lately. Yes, it's been extremely hard. Hang in there, Celeste. Did you know that she even interrogated me about the murder yesterday? Can you believe it? A steel wind running around a crime scene like a common knight. Why, if I tried something like that, my father would disown me. She's so desperate to prove that she's nothing like her father. This is a flashback to last case. Is that what you really believe? Or are you just hiding the fact that you're here on your father's behalf? I am not working with my father. I working against him just as much as you are. My apologies. I didn't mean to lose my temper like that. Right. Is that why she became a prosecutor? Was it all to reject her bloodthirsty father? Honestly, she probably thinks she can do better just because of her betrothed. She's so full of herself. Aster deserves better. But if the Grand General keeps drowning these villages in blood, I imagine even that will be in jeopardy. And when that happens, I'll steal him back, happy and sad. Oh. Celeste's eyes perked up. I'd be lying if I said mine didn't too. I was also curious about who this Aster was. But I shook my head when she looked at me. We couldn't risk blowing our cover for some gossip about the prosecutor. Arcane construct. You have an arcane construct in your room. I thought they were the only in the library and the locker room. This construct was a gift from House Von Sanctus. I have to say, they're quite convenient to have around. They look really cool. Maybe I should get one. You should. The construct would be far more useful than this attendant of yours. Yeah, maybe. Unfortunately, there are still some issues with their intelligence. Their intelligence? It happens when you give them complex commands. It might be easier to show you. Miriam turned to the construct and began beckoning it over. Construct, please retrieve my textbooks and bring them here. Then cast Steelwind Strike at this location. After that, retrieve some plates and set them out on this table. Acknowledged. What? The construct stood up and retrieved Miriam's textbooks from one of the shelves in the room. It brought them to the table they were sitting at, just like she'd ordered. But then it suddenly stopped. Wait, what happened? The construct obviously can't cast Steelwind Strike, so my second command was impossible to carry out. But did you notice something else? It ignored your third command, too. Exactly. My third command was possible to carry out. Constructs execute a series of commands in the order that they are given. But let's say one of these tasks is impossible to complete. When the construct gets to that task, it will deem the entire series impossible to complete. As a result, it will stop executing the series altogether. Construct's logic limitation. Okay. Arcane constructs process tasks in the order that they are given. If a construct is ordered to complete tasks A, B, and C, it will process each of these tasks individually. If task B is impossible, the construct won't realize this until it reaches task B. When it reaches task B, it will deem the entire series of commands as impossible and stop what it's doing, without even attempting to complete task C. Okay, that's good to know. Lady Steelwind, I'm afraid we must leave now. We want to make our next engagement. Oh, right. Let's go, servant. Oh, leaving already? It was a pleasure talking to you. Yeah, sure. See you around. I made my way back to the foyer with Celeste. With all the time we'd spent, we only had a brief amount of time before night fell. But luckily, we'd found a lot during our investigation. Are you sure you didn't want to talk to her more? We were getting a lot out of her. We already got a lot of useful information out of her. The more time we spend with her, the more likely she is to see through our ruse and warn the prosecution. Right. So, why Steelwind? I don't know. I panicked. I don't remember any of the other houses' names. Pierce would have had a lower profile. I'm not using that creep's name. Hopefully Steelwind doesn't mind us borrowing her name. And we got her statement on what she saw that day. There's also what she said about her rapier. I bet she was lying when she said it was stolen. She was probably trying to establish an alibi. I'm not so sure. Why do you say that? Doesn't it feel too obvious? If she was lying about the rapier being stolen, then would imply that she planned all of this in advance. But if she had to choose a murder weapon, why would she choose something that literally has her family's name on it? I'd understand if the murder was a spur-of-the-moment decision and somehow occurred in her dorm room. In a situation like that, she might have just used something nearby. But if this was a premeditated murder committed by Miriam, that rapier would be the last weapon she would choose. Right, I guess that makes sense. There's also the evidence of academic dishonesty. Doesn't match up with what we heard from Miriam. You mean all that stuff about working with the Crown Prince? She was probably just making things up to look good in front of me. I have an insight when it comes to things like this. Under certain circumstances, I can usually tell when someone is lying. I'd be able to see through a lie as grandiose as that. People could subconsciously shield themselves from the Eye of Horus even if they didn't know about it, but when they did that, I wouldn't be able to see through any thoughts. I saw that she was lying about her encounter with Bellwether. I would have seen dissonant thoughts if she were lying about her grades, too. Well, I guess your insight has never failed us before, but what does that mean? I don't know. Well, I think to me it suggests that she thinks she's actually really academically accomplished. even with everything we found, I'm still not sure who the real culprit is. At the very least, I think we should still try to pull Miriam onto the stand. If she testifies in court, I might be able to find something I can use. But that was a big maybe. She was the daughter of the Duke of Finance. If I didn't play my cards right, that move could spook the judge enough to make him end the trial then and there. Wait, do we have time to kill? Do you want to head back to the library? You could continue your research. She was fidgeting with her hands. Her feet were already shuffling toward the library doors. You just want to read Dagger at Daggerfall, don't you? It's Death at Daggerfall, and it's a great series. Every time I try to pick up one of those books, I figure out who the killer is within the first few chapters. Yeah, well, I'm a normal human being, okay? I'm not some murder-solving prodigy. Why don't you go read one of those Wraithbound books? Maybe you'll find the unpublished sequel there, too. Celeste, that series has been finished for centuries. Yeah, the nobility paid Corin Bloomfield to write stories about evil necromancers. He's a sellout! Liches are magically impossible, but people still just eat that nonsense up. That man single-handedly threw the study of necromancy back into the Stone Age. What's wrong? I can't stop thinking about what Wallace said about Corin Bloomvale. Look, I get that you really like that series, but they're just books, Tyrion. They're more than that to me. These books inspired me to do what I'm doing now. Wait, the story about the magic light swords inspired you to become a defense attorney? A long time ago, I experienced how corrupt Weirengard was. I started assuming that the nobles would always win. But those books made me want to believe in a world where good could triumph over evil against all odds. And if I'd never had that, I don't know if I'd be here today. I get that, but Wallace really cares a lot about necromancy, too. We've been feeling the stigma against it for this entire case. Is it really so hard to believe that those books contributed to how bad things are for him? You've said it yourself, it's one of the most popular books out there. Do you even know what kind of person Corin Bloomvale was? Not really. So he could have been paid off by the nobility to write those books. No, someone who did that could never write something so beautiful. I will grant you that it's likely he played into harmful stereotypes about necromancers, but I'm sure it was just an unfortunate mistake. I'm sure there are historical records that will note his many good deeds and contributions to society. Maybe if I show Wallace that, he'll understand that he wasn't all that bad. Sure. I looked over to her. She was already shuffling towards the entrance to the library. All right, let's just go. Woohoo! She barely acknowledged me. She flung open the doors to the library and ran inside. By the time I entered the library, she was already sitting at a table, her eyes glued to the unpublished manuscript. All right, where to start? Ah, here we go. Corin Bloomville's autobiography. 1 hour later. That hour flew by. I still couldn't finish. Oh my. How many books did you get? He was a Steelwind, Celeste! What? He wasn't just paid by the nobility, he was of the nobility! Was that in the historical records? No, it's all one giant conspiracy! I found his old submissions to writing competitions that he'd made under his original name. The prose he used back then matches his style too closely. It's uncanny when you compare them. Some of those submissions even contain story elements that he later used and polished in Wraithbound. How did you even... His real name was Lorenzo Steelwind, born in the year 208. He deserted the army and was disowned by his family, but they paid him off, Celeste. They saw that the masses liked his writing. They corrupted him. They used his artistry as a weapon to turn the public against the necromancers. And he just went with it. They dangled his inheritance in front of him like a carrot on a stick. Tyrion, what in the actual hell? We've only been here for an hour. I know. If I just had more time, I could find enough evidence to prove this once and for all. I'm sure if I take a few more hours to... What? Tyrion, no! Wallace's trial is tomorrow morning. Scaled Lord, how could I forget? It's fine, let's just... Wallace will want to hear about what I found. Okay, whatever. Let's just go home. Naught could remain concealed, Celeste! Sure, Tyrion, you did great. Good job. Naught good remains concealed. You mean he won't rest until he uncovers the nooks and crannies? What? I know. I wouldn't believe it if I hadn't seen all the pieces there myself. That makes so much sense. The Steelwinds had always seen the necromancers as a threat to their power. Guys... But to think that Bloomfield was originally a part of their family! I know, right? It's cruelly insane when you think about it. Guys, focus! Wallace is on trial for murder right now. Oh, yeah. Sorry, I don't know what came over me. After I quit you, do you want to talk more about what I found? Yes! All right, don't lose that confidence, I guess.
Order!
Court is now resumed for the trial of Wallace Nightgrave. He's about to start selling a super mail. He is, yes. They're putting stuff in the books that makes the necromancers gay. During yesterday's trial, it was revealed that the traces of necromancy might not have been left by the defendant. It may have been left by a witness who cast necromancy in an attempt to heal the victim. However, the victim was seen by witnesses well after her time of death. That could only be explained if someone had used necromancy to animate the victim's body, which begged the following question. If the victim had been raised as an undead in order to walk to Lecture Hall 2B, where did the murder actually take place? Does the prosecution have an answer for this? Based on the testimonies of several witnesses, it is very likely that the murder took place in the library. Interesting. What led you to this conclusion, Miss Steelwind? First, I'd like to remind the court where the victim was sighted before the body was found. It began when the victim had a meeting with the headmaster near the center of the building. He said the meeting was scheduled for noon and lasted for an hour, right? This brings us to the statement of the next witness, a student at the academy. The student saw the victim walking in the hallways, coming out of the headmaster's office, heading towards the library. Okay. Which means that our first witness saw Bellwether leave the headmaster's office. Presumably, this would have happened after her meeting there. That would time this encounter at around 1 p.m. The other event is the discovery of the body, which was when Valentina Yanus contacted security. I suddenly spotted the professor lying in a pool of blood in the classroom. Valentina used a communication device to call for help while I tried to save her. Right. As we've already established, this event occurred at 3:04 p.m. But the significance of this time is in what occurred before the body was discovered. The second witness, a member of the cleaning staff, spotted the victim in the West Wing hallway. Bellwether knocked over a vase, probably 30 minutes, right, before they found the body. This means that this encounter must have happened no later than 2:30 p.m. And this implies that the victim was near the library between 1 p.m. and 2:30 p.m. According to the defendant's statements, he was in the library during this time period. Furthermore, the time of death was at 2:01 p.m. This means that Mr. Hughes saw the victim's animated body. Steelwind's deduction. Got it. I see. What do you have to say in your defense, Mr. Cuthbert? The prosecution's argument is well thought out, Your Honor. However, it is entirely predicated on the testimonies of all the witnesses involved. Steelwind's deductions had to have a hole somewhere. And since our conversation yesterday, I had a feeling that Miriam was hiding something. If I wanted to get to the truth, I would need to drag that out of her through a cross-examination. Your Honor, to test the validity of these claims, the defense would like both of these witnesses to testify. The defense calls Miriam Frege to the stand. Frege? At the mention of her name, the judge's face turned a bit pale. He fidgeted with a gavel, looking towards the bailiff and then towards Steelwind. I had a feeling it would come to this. Do you have any objections, Miss Steelwind? I do not, Your Honor. Very well. Bailiff, please escort Lady Frege to the stand. Witness, please state your name and occupation for the... You little snakes! How dare you deceive me! Oh, it looks like she found out. I had the opportunity to debrief the witness beforehand. Miss McCoy, I asked you to exercise discretion. I did not imply that you should impersonate a member of my family. Yeah, sorry about that. I gave you all of the tea that I imported from the Eastern Kingdoms. I demand that you return it to me. No, you gave it to me. It's legally mine now. Anyways, Miriam, could you please testify to the court about your encounter with the victim? Fine. Witness testimony. Okay. Working on a research project in my dorm room when I decided to take a break. I left my room and went on a walk. That's when I saw Professor Bellwether exiting the headmaster's office. She was walking in my direction, so I greeted her, and she responded in kind. After that, she headed towards the library. I'm starting to think the headmaster is the culprit, and she was murdered during that meeting. Because the headmaster would know necromancy too, wouldn't he? A short time after that, I went back to my room and continued my work. Okay. I see, so it was only a brief encounter. However brief it was, the witness's testimony verifies two things. One is that Miriam saw the professor exiting the headmaster's office. The other is that she witnessed the victim head toward the library. This gives us a rough timeline of where the victim was before her death. That does seem consistent. Did Bellwether really enter the library after her meeting? I feel like I would have seen her there if she did. Mr. Cuthbert, you may begin your cross-examination. Okay. And I decided to take a break. Was this research project a part of your schoolwork? It was an independent study to develop a new conjuration spell formula. The project is being sponsored by the Crown Prince himself. I wasn't aware that he was involved in such a study. Of course you wouldn't. Did you expect to know every aspect of his life, dear Arya? I sense some hostility. If you don't mind, keep an eye on him. House Freyja might just steal him back from you. As if his highness would align himself with your rapacious family again. Our banking houses form the economic infrastructure of our kingdom. But perhaps he'll come to the Steel Winds if he needs to massacre a village of commoners. With all due respect, may we please focus on the matter at hand? Of course, Your Honor. Okay, 2-5. And you're sure that you saw her exit the headmaster's office? Yes, I remember it clearly. I was surprised that she was still meeting with the headmaster at all. She must have been referring to her family's plot to replace him. Did you interact with the professor at all, Miriam? Greeted her. Did anything seem off about her? No, but it was a very short encounter. It's not as if we stopped to have a conversation. You said that you greeted her and she responded. What did she say? Why is that important? It's not important at all, so why? Angry and surprised. Interesting. Miss Freyja, it's possible that someone used illusion magic that day. Every detail about the victim's interactions could be important. Well, I bid her good morning. She said good morning in response. She was walking towards me, so I bid her good morning. Okay. And you're certain that nothing seemed off about her? Yes, like I said, it was a very short encounter. I don't understand, why did she say that? Oh, it only happened over a few seconds. The witness's interactions are not what's important here. What matters is that she witnessed where the victim was coming from and where she went afterward. She headed towards the library. Did you see her enter the library? I didn't, but there's not much else in that direction. From the testimony of Jan Hughes, we know that she later came from the library. Even if she didn't enter the library, she was still in that area for more than an hour. A short time after that, I went back to my room. Okay. How long did you leave your dorm room? Only for a few minutes. I try not to let my breaks go for too long. And you didn't see the professor again after your first encounter? No, I did not. Her testimony seems pretty straightforward, but she could still be lying. I'm honestly not sure. We'll just have to focus on her statements about how Bellwether acted. Okay. So I think good morning. What do we have? Common folk. Theodore Redmond a few weeks ago. Jen didn't say anything to her. She yelled at him to be quiet. Okay, the Bellwether. So, what is weird about her saying good morning? Why did she say that, I wonder? Must have been disguised. In addition, whoever he saw that day was physically there. Knocked her over a vase. Planning to fire. Right. The lockdown. The headmaster. Very likely caused by necromancy. Alright. So hang on. The headmaster's office, heading toward the library. And then she was found dead in one of the lecture halls. Invention can take the form. Can't be physically touched. Animate corpse survive. Enemy is created with a spell. You cannot make physical contact with it. Alright. I left my room and went for a walk. That's when I saw Professor Bellwether. So, what am I missing here? She could still be lying. So she said good morning. She responded in kind. You're certain. Why did she say that? So hang on. "30 minutes before the Anus twins found the body. He was in her path, so she shoved him out of the way. After this, she walked into lecture hall 2B. Alright. Containing several documents, a document containing evidence, multiple instances of plagiarism, fraud, bribery, and various other offenses. Miriam Frege saw Bellwether walking in the hallways, and then at 2:30, Jan Hughes witnessed Bellwether an hour later. Three from the common folk and mistreating the academy staff. Place him. There was a plan to fire. Why did she say what, is what I want to know. What is it? What is that? Professor, she's quite abrasive just about everyone. She seems to have a particular disdain for commoners. Well, the thing that's weird there is it doesn't seem like... Let's see. Let's see. Theodore Redmond had a meeting with Bellwether. Miriam Frege saw Bellwether walking in the hallways. But hang on. What did she say? Decided to take a break. I left. That's when I saw Professor Bellwether exiting the headmaster's office. She was walking towards me, so I bid her good morning, and she responded in kind. Wait. Good morning. Oh, I get it. She said good morning, and it was 1 p.m. There we go. Yeah, you're right. It was actually afternoon. Miss Frege, if I recall correctly, you have a habit of getting absorbed in your work. So much so that you'll even lose track of the time of day. If I recall correctly, you pulled that information out of me through your lies. Regardless, earlier in today's proceedings, the prosecutor made the following argument. Yeah, they first saw Bellwether. This would encounter around 1 p.m. Yep. Miss Frege, if you had said good morning to the professor, you would have been mistaken. Because that encounter could only have happened during the afternoon. And your point is? You said it yourself, Mr. Cuthbert. The witness simply lost track of time. What the witness said isn't what's important here. The significance is what the professor said in response. She had just come out of a meeting that was scheduled for noon and ran for an hour. She would be well aware that it was no longer morning. Wouldn't she have corrected the witness? Their encounter was extremely short, and the victim's mind may have been preoccupied. She could have easily responded to the witness without thinking. I'm going to be honest, I kind of agree with her. It's not hard to believe that they were both confused about the time. It was definitely a stretch, but I still couldn't shake the feeling that Miriam was hiding something. Every time I asked her about how Bellwether acted that day, the Eye of Horus read a suspicious thought. There had to be something there. Miss Frege, you haven't been entirely truthful in your testimony, have you? That's absurd. What reason would I have to lie? It's such a small detail. Why does he even care? How does this affect you personally? Every detail about how she acted is important, Miss Frege. What aren't you telling us? Mr. Cuthbert, you have no basis to accuse the witness of perjury. Yes! You will stop this at once! Miss Frege, you're lying about how Bellwether responded to your greeting, aren't you? All she did was yell. Oh. Miss Frege, is it possible that Bellwether's response was less than friendly? What do you care? What difference does it make? This peasant, why is he being so persistent? My job is to make sure every part of your testimony is truthful. Every detail matters, no matter how seemingly insignificant. Mr. Cuthbert, you will stop this, or I will find you in contempt! The professor yelled at you, didn't she, Miss Frege? Yeah, so what if she did? I'm sorry, but we all clearly heard what you just said. So you do admit that she yelled at you? You impertinent little... Yes, I admit it. The professor didn't greet me back that day. Oh, good morning, Professor. Be quiet. She yelled at me to be quiet. But until then, we had always been nothing but courteous with each other. I don't know what got into her that day, but something had put her in a foul mood. But that's it. Everything else I said was the truth. I am telling the truth. That's all she did. She walked past me. That part was true. I did see her come out of the headmaster's office and walk towards the library. So she wasn't lying about that. So is that all, Mr. Cuthbert? What do you mean, is that all? You badgered this witness so you could prove what? Exactly? The witness committed perjury. The witness changed a small detail in her testimony. A detail that is inconsequential to the case. It was clearly an act with no malicious intent. Ugh. After seeing her thoughts, it was difficult to disagree with that. I was so sure that the eye would give me a thread to pull on, but she was only lying to save face. The witness saw the victim leave the headmaster's office and head toward the library. Do you have any concrete evidence to refute that, Mr. Cuthbert? No, I guess not. Wait, is this really okay? At this rate, this will be the only chance you have to cross-examine her. I don't think she's lying anymore, and I was really pushing my luck earlier. If I continue pressing her, the judge might actually charge me with contempt. But if Miriam was the one who was lying, then... The defense has no further questions for the witness, Miss Steelwind. The prosecutor stayed silent for a while. She almost looked disappointed. Very well, Miriam. You are dismissed. Miriam shot me a look of disdain, but she left the room without protest. The judge let out a sigh as the young noble was escorted out of the room. It was as if he were expecting the young noble to literally explode at any moment. Now, with that out of the way, what else do you have, Mr. Cuthbert? The only way to refute the prosecution's theory was to cast doubt on one of the witnesses. If it wasn't Miriam, then... Steelwind... To test your theory, we must question every witness who saw the victim that day. So with that said, the defense would like to call Jan Hughes to the stand. I hope you understand, Mr. Cuthbert. Your entire case rests on the assumption that one of the witness accounts is incorrect. If your cross-examination of Mr. Hughes leads nowhere, then I hope you're ready to concede. I didn't like the sound of it, but she was right. Unless I could find something in Jan's testimony, I wouldn't have a case at all. Bailiff, please bring in Mr. Hughes. Witness, please state your name and occupation for the courtroom. Witness, name and occupation. Oh, right. My name is Jan Hughes. I'm on the cleaning staff of the academy. Mr. Hughes, please testify to the court about your encounter with the professor that day. All right. Witness testimony. Okay. I saw the professor when I was cleaning the West Wing hallways. It was about 20-30 minutes before the body was discovered. She walked by me and she looked pretty out of it. I heard she was undead when this happened. Pretty creepy, if you ask me. After that, she went to the empty classroom. Well, that was straightforward. Come on, Jan, what are we supposed to do with that? I don't know. You guys are the lawyers. I'm just telling you what I saw. Mr. Cuthbert, you may begin your cross-examination. Cross-examination. All right. How are you so sure that it was 30 minutes before? I always check the time to make sure I'm on schedule. I was supposed to finish cleaning the halls by 3 p.m. Right, the body was discovered at 3:04 p.m. And what was the professor like, Mr. Hughes? She walked by me, she was pretty out of it. Did anything else look off about her? Yeah, probably. She was an undead after all. That remains to be proven, if you say so. Anyways, what was her demeanor like? She looked like she was in a bad mood. Either that or she was tired, but I guess she was actually just dead. Undead. I believe you've forgotten a few details about what the professor did. Yeah? Sorry, it's hard to remember these things sometimes. Did she make any sounds? Did you hear her make any sounds? Oh, yeah. After she knocked over the base, she yelled at me to be quiet. But I didn't even say anything. This detail could be extremely important. Please add it to your testimony, Mr. Hughes. Whatever you say, man. Okay, she was undead, which is proof. After that, she went to an empty classroom. What? Because she yelled at me. Hang on. So, we gotta do animate corpse. They cannot speak.
Objection!
Mr. Hughes, you said that Bellwether yelled at you. What were her exact words? I think she yelled at me to be quiet. What? I thought it was weird. I didn't even say anything. But I know better than to talk back to her. That's the thing, Mr. Hughes. The prosecution's theory is as follows. The professor was murdered in the library and was reanimated using animate corpse. With a quick illusion spell, no one would notice that she was undead. However, if what you saw was truly the undead Bellwether, how did she speak to you? Huh? This can't be right. Mr. Hughes, undead can follow simple orders, but they can't have the intelligence to speak. Perhaps the witness was mistaken. No, I'm sure I heard her yell at me. I remembered because what she said didn't make any sense. Exactly. He didn't say anything, but she still yelled at him to be quiet. Wait a minute. I'm afraid I don't understand. We've already established that the victim was dead long before her encounter with Mr. Hughes. But what if what he saw wasn't an undead? What was it? It had to be an undead. What other explanation is there? It couldn't have been a major illusion. Otherwise, it would have been able to shove Jan out of the way or knock over the vase. Whatever it was, someone probably used an illusory disguise to make it look like Bellwether. Does it mean it was a person? No. If it were a person, how did Bellwether's body end up in the lecture hall? Bellwether wouldn't have been able to turn herself invisible if she were dead. And whatever Jan saw, it needed to be something that could have transported Bellwether's body unseen. It would also have needed to have a mass and the ability to speak. What created Bellwether's voice? The constructs. That's it. What? Everyone, the witness didn't actually hear the dead victim speaking. What he actually heard was Bellwether's voice being recreated using magic. Are you trying to say that her voice was recreated using a spell? Not a spell, Steelwind, it was artificery. And whoever the murderer is, they had the perfect piece of artificery available to them when programmed with Catherine Bellwether's voice. You can't possibly mean... That's right, Steelwind. What Mr. Hughes saw was an arcane construct. An arcane construct? It is a magically animated suit of armor, Your Honor. We ruled out such a possibility, hadn't we? Construct or not, no one could disguise themselves and carry the body to the classroom. A person wouldn't have been able to do it, but arcane constructs are a different thing entirely. Those suits of armor are extremely large, but more importantly, they're hollow. That means that theoretically, someone could have placed the victim's body inside it. The arcane construct wouldn't just transport the body. With an illusory disguise, it would also confuse and mislead anyone who saw it.
Objection!
I commend your deduction, Mr. Cuthbert. I would have never considered that possibility. It's certainly plausible, but what does this prove, exactly? It proves that the body wasn't animated using necromancy. My client isn't the murderer. The defendant is still capable of performing all of the acts that you described. His compendium contains illusory disguise, after all. With an illusory disguise, an arcane construct can go wherever it wants. There were several students in the library that day. Any of them could have committed the murder. One might come to that conclusion if they didn't have one crucial piece of evidence. I'd like to present a new piece of evidence to the court. From under her table, Steelwind pulled out Miriam Frega's bloody rapier. A sword? Is that... Yes, Your Honor. This is the murder weapon. This rapier was reported stolen by Miriam Frega weeks before the murder. During the investigation, it was finally found in the defendant's locker. Wait! He was clearly trying to use one of her possessions in a paltry attempt to frame her. Why, he even stole her locker's nameplate and placed it over his. Damn it, that wasn't what really happened. But honestly, it sounds more plausible than what really took place. We're basically back to square one, aren't we? Anyone could have told that construct to do all those things. Wait, was that really true? The construct transported the professor's body, and someone used an illusion to make it look like her. They even used a pre-recorded voice to make the illusion more convincing. Or ordered the construct to hide the body. Could anyone have done that? Command log, right? No, the constructs will take orders from anyone, but not all their functions are enabled. Who would have every function available to them? The headmaster! It was at that moment that several memories flooded back to me. Mr. Hughes, Bellwether. I think she yelled at me to be quiet. Be quiet. Be quiet. Sorry. Be quiet. Clearly amused. Oh, yeah. The construct's voice is an amalgam of pre-recorded phrases. I'm not sure if you noticed, but it uses the voice of Professor Bellwether. Yeah, okay. You can't make them say things. Right. Only the headmaster can change the settings. No! Was it him the entire time? What is it, Tyrion? Did you figure something out? I did. I didn't like where this was going. Jontron, I don't like where this is going. But with the way the pieces were laid out, there was only one explanation. Steelwind, earlier you said that my client could have orchestrated this entire ruse, but that's simply not true. How so? Anyone could have ordered the construct. Wait. Hang on. I missed something. To carry the victim's body. Yes, but not everyone can change what the constructs are able to say. Only one individual has the credentials for that. Theodore Redmond, headmaster of the Imperial Academy. Wait, you're not serious, are you? You think the headmaster did all this? I don't want to believe it. But he's the only person who could have done it. That's completely ridiculous. Headmaster Redmond is 88 years old. He could never do something like this. Steelwind, there's one common element between each of the witnesses' encounters with Bellwether. It's what Bellwether said to them. She yelled at them both to be quiet. Miriam Frega was particularly surprised. She had a good relationship with the professor, but when greeted by the professor, Bellwether just shouted at her. Almost as if the professor was responding indiscriminately. And recall her encounter with Jan Hughes. The professor knocked over a vase and shouted at him to be quiet immediately after. But he hadn't said anything. She was responding to the sound of the vase breaking. Now let me ask you this, Steelwind. Where did Bellwether come from before she encountered Miss Frigga and Mr. Hughes? Her meeting with the headmaster. It appears that the defense truly means to indict Theodore Redmond. If so, we have no choice but to take a brief recess until he can be brought here. There's no need. There he is. Fortunately for you, I was already in the gallery. The headmaster stood up from the gallery behind me and slowly made his way onto the witness stand. Had he been here the entire time? Now, please correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Cuthbert, but are you trying to say that I am the one who committed this crime? I'm sorry, Mr. Redmond, but no matter how I look at it, everything I've found points to you. No, there's no need to apologize. In fact, I should commend you on the lengths that you're going to defend dear Wallace. The court appreciates your understanding, Mr. Redmond. How can she speak so cordially after all she's done? Ooh. Now then, to clear the air, I suppose I should give my testimony on what happened that day. All right, witness testimony time. Let's see what he has to say. That day, I had a meeting scheduled with the professor at noon. She showed up at the expected time, and we discussed various administrative matters. Our meeting went on for an hour, after which she left to prepare for her next class. Despite our many disagreements, we still knew how to be civil with one another. After all, I had no reason to bear a personal grudge against her. Oh boy, we got it. I just can't see it. He seems like such a nice old man. Is he really the killer we're looking for? He has to be. No one else could have orchestrated this entire plot. I just needed to find out how to prove it. Yeah. He has no reason to bear a grudge. Yes, you do. And that is, her plan.
Objection!
Redmond, did you really hold no animosity toward Professor Bellwether? Of course not. I did have strong opinions about how she treated the students, but always remained professional. We both did. Frankly, I find that hard to believe. In fact, I think you might have had a very good reason to murder the professor, considering that she was going to take your job. What? So you knew about that. I'm sorry, but I don't follow. Just how was the professor going to take the headmaster's job? According to Miriam Frege, Catherine Bellwether was currying favor with the school board. In fact, there was a plan to oust Mr. Redmond and appoint Bellwether as the new headmaster of the academy. What? But in any case, I doubt that the headmaster had any idea of this until now. I'd like to remind the court of the witness's reaction just now. He said, so you knew about that. His reaction was one of surprise, but he wasn't surprised by this information. Court, I would like to point out that the defendant, when I asked if he was a bad guy, said, why do you ask? He was surprised that I knew this information. That's... Please, dear Arya, I may be a frail old man, but I'm perfectly capable of defending myself. If you have an explanation, Mr. Redmond, then by all means, I'd love to hear it. Yes, okay. Gladly. Okay. It is true that I knew about the Frege's plot beforehand, but I'd only just learned about it. On the day of the murder, the professor told me about her plan. She was going to replace me as headmaster and replace the staff with her arcane constructs. Now, you might say this would have given me the perfect motive to murder the professor. However, the supposed murder weapon was stolen from Lady Frege. This happened weeks before our meeting. I had no knowledge of their plan before she told me, and therefore I wouldn't have had known to steal Lady Frege's weapon in an attempt to frame her. Come on! We knew about this from Jan. Yeah. Are you satisfied now, Mr. Cuthbert? There is no way that the headmaster could have come up with this plan. If he really did do this, that means he stole the rapier too, right? Most likely. His alibi makes sense. He couldn't have planned this whole thing unless he knew about Bellwether's plans. That would mean he knew about this weeks ago. But how did he even find out? The best way to tell a convincing lie is to leave a lot of truths, only change one detail. Maybe Bellwether did tell him, but she actually told him weeks ago. But how would I prove that? Mr. Cuthbert, you may begin your cross-examination. It was only just... He's going to replace... Well, wait a minute. Which statement? Hang on. I had no knowledge of their plan before she told me. Bellwether revealed this plan to the headmaster during a meeting a few weeks ago.
Objection!
What? Your Honor, it's clear the witness' testimony. What? On the day the professor told me about her plan. On the day?
Objection!
There we go. Bellwether's plan twice. Redmond, you kept saying that you didn't know about Bellwether's plot before yesterday. Do you still plan on standing behind that claim?
Of course I am. It's the truth.
I'm sorry, Redmond, but you should really close your doors during your meetings.
What?
No, did someone see us? It is true that Bellwether revealed her plan to you during one of your meetings. In fact, Jan Hughes happened to overhear that same meeting, but he only overheard the part where the staff would be replaced. And that's the strangest part, Redmond. According to Mr. Hughes, this meeting occurred weeks ago. You can't accuse the headmaster of perjury based on a rumor. Everything you've just said is based on second-hand information. Mr. Hughes distinctly overheard that the staff will be replaced with arcane constructs. That is too specific and too accurate to assume that he misheard. The professor must have only revealed her plan for the arcane constructs. That still doesn't prove that he knew about her treachery beforehand. Professor Bellwether had no authority over the cleaning staff's deployment. It wouldn't make sense for her to just reveal her plan for the arcane constructs. That only makes sense if he knew that Bellwether would be taking his job. So tell me one thing, Redmond. Why did you find the need to lie about this? Is it because you saw a need to establish an alibi? Redmond, I'm only going to ask you one more time. Did you murder Catherine Bellwether? Theodore Redmond had done something truly terrible.
The school board rejected my proposed staffing budget. Won't be able to hire more custodians.
Of course they rejected it. Our current janitor simply needs to stop lazing about. Then you wouldn't have to spend all of your free time helping him.
How did you... Is that how they found out? Did you tell them?
I did.
Why? After what I do after school hours is none of your concern.
It becomes my concern when the headmaster of my academy debases himself in such a manner. You are mopping floors alongside him like a common servant. Have you no shame?
What else was I supposed to do? You can't possibly expect one man to keep an entire school clean.
Hughes is clearly capable. The academy is spotless despite his lounging about.
Only because he's working during every waking hour. He barely has enough time to sleep.
Please, I've caught him napping on the job more times than I can count. Honestly, you coddle these animals far too much.
Professor Bellwether, I've called you here to discuss your treatment of certain students.
This again.
Do you remember Gillian Fletcher? He was part of your advanced illusion track.
I remember failing him. His performance during the final exam was laughable.
They found his body in the lake last night. I had always warned you that something like this might happen. I understand that you feel you have responsibilities to the kingdom, but our students are still human beings.
I fail to see how any of this is my responsibility.
Professor! Surely even you must understand.
No, I think it's you who fails to understand. He may have been a mage, but he could never walk the path of the Scaled Lord's Chosen with such a plebeian constitution. What did you think would happen? The real act of cruelty was placing that layabout next to our kingdom's best and brightest. What did you think happens to trash when they're faced with their betters?
You never allowed him the opportunity to succeed.
Don't think I'm blind to what's been happening.
I have received several reports that you've been harassing the students admitted through the scholarship program.
Then take those reports to the school board, Redmond. If those urchins fall apart over the tiniest bit of criticism, they have no place here. They can't handle it, Redmond. It's that simple. Maybe this incident will finally make you see reason.
You... What do I do? How do I stop her? It's only a matter of time before the school board names her as the new headmaster. After that, I won't be able to protect anyone from her. I'll be powerless.
That's not how I see it.
What?
You're clinging to shadows, Redmond. Titles, influence, reputation. They're all just illusions. Strip those away, and you're Bellwether's equal.
Only it truly worked like that. Reality is far more complicated than that.
Is it, though? Her friends on the school board can't pump blood through her veins. Those nobles she dotes on can't draw breath into her lungs. All are equal in death. The survivors are the ones who determine what will be. It doesn't matter if you're a commoner, a noble, or the scaled lord himself.
What are you saying?
You should fight for what you believe in. Do whatever it takes to create the universe you want. Theodore Redmond had done something truly terrible. He had truly despised Catherine Bellwether with all of his heart. In his mind, the world was a better place without her in it. Yet the sound of that rapier piercing her heart had been echoing endlessly within his head. It was as if her ghost were floating over his shoulder, torturing him by repeating her last anguished gasps. It made his stomach churn. He took no pleasure in taking her life, and his soul felt forever scarred from what he'd done. But you've already come this far, haven't you?
I have already come this far.
What a fine mess this is. I'm not done. Not yet.
Headmaster? So you truly plan on pushing this, do you?
I won't let anyone stop me from getting justice for Wallace.
Well, your thesis sounds promising, Mr. Cuthbert, but I believe your arguments could use a little work.
All right.
You think I killed Catherine Bellwether? Me? I am an elderly man in his late 80s.
I was alone and could not overpower Bellwether.
I can barely walk, much less wield a rapier.
Hashtag justice for Wallace, that's right. Let's see. Arcane constructs. Let's see. I was alone, could not... You had a construct with you, right? But you and Bellwether weren't the only people in that room, were you? You needed the arcane construct to carry Bellwether's body. That means that the construct would have been already in your office. And with your privilege, you could easily have programmed the construct to stab Bellwether for you.
Even so. Think about what would have transpired afterward. Do you recall Miss Steelwind's timeline of Bellwether's witnesses? With your theory, the construct would have spent more than an hour in the library.
I wouldn't have the construct linger around in the library.
Having it there would have risked my so-called ruse from being discovered.
I was lucky Lady Frigga couldn't tell night from day. I was lucky Lady Frigga couldn't tell night from day. Happy. Empathy, used when the opponent's emotions contradict their claim. Used when the opponent's thought contradicts their claim. He's happy. Thought contradicts the evidence. Let's do logic. Redmond, what you're saying clearly doesn't match what you're thinking.
What kind of weak assertion is that? How could you possibly know what I'm thinking?
Need to choose intuition. Okay. The timing deduced from Miss Frigga's testimony is predicated on one thing. She saw Miss Bellwether exit your office after your meeting. However, if we assume that you're lying about when this meeting ended, your entire argument falls apart. Miss Frigga would have encountered Bellwether after her death at 2:01 p.m.
Miss Frigga wouldn't have made a mistake like that.
Miss Frigga thought it was morning when she saw Bellwether. She can't reliably tell the time.
Then what about where the rapier was placed? If it really was the murderer, then that would mean I planted the weapon in young Wallace's locker. Several of the students had lockers there that I had access to.
And that put into place incriminating evidence.
Wallace is one of my prized students. If I had to frame anyone, he would be the last person I chose.
Wait a minute. What about the locker? Someone must have switched the ID numbers. You're right, Mr. Redmond. You wouldn't try to frame Wallace, but you would try to frame Miriam Frege. It would have been the perfect act of revenge, wouldn't it? You murder your treacherous co-worker and frame the daughter of the family that helped her. If Miriam had been implicated, the Inquisition would have immediately swept Bellwether's murder under the rug. But something went wrong, didn't it, Redmond? The labels on Wallace's locker and Miriam's locker were switched. Anyone who saw that would have easily mixed them up. I am the headmaster of the Imperial Academy. I have records of all the students' lockers and where they're located. There's no reason I would make a mistake like that. If I truly planned this, I would have known where Wallace's locker was. A simple change in labels wouldn't have led me to make a careless mistake like that. There's no reason I would have made a mistake like that. Evidence of dishonesty. Let's see. Construct in the locker room. He had the construct to do it. But it wasn't you, was it? Your arcane construct was the one who planted the rapier in the locker. I bet you commanded it to place this rapier in the locker of Miriam Frege, but it saw the ID number on Wallace's locker and assumed that it was Miriam's. Redmond was desperately stammering. Miss Steelwind, say something! What? Mr. Cuthbert, your theory may be plausible, but there's no evidence to support it. Ha! That's right! You don't have any proof, do you? What is he doing with his hand? I love that. There's no evidence of my orders. Saying that I could have committed the murder isn't the same as proving I did it? Ah, but they store the commands. There wasn't that would track the orders given to him? Wait a minute. Every command is stored in its command log. Where's the command log? Creates these barriers. Let's see. Processes task in the order of a given. What about Steelwind? Well, okay. Is it construct in the locker room again? Your arcane construct is still in the locker room where it planted the rapier. I do hope he has an Aristotle Means tier meltdown. Me too, yes. Aristotle Means was great. All we have to do is take a look inside it, and we'll see the blood inside. Is that so, Mr. Cuthbert? What? Why did he still look so confident? No, Mr. Cuthbert, I already checked the inside of that construct during my investigation. The interior was completely clean. What? The construct's primary function is to assist and clean, dear Tyrion. They have a function that allows them to clean themselves inside and out. That still wouldn't erase the magical traces. Healing spells may leave traces of necromancy, but so would a healing potion. With no evidence of blood, there could be a myriad of reasons why those traces are there. Well, we can still look at his command history, right? Think about it, Mr. Cuthbert. Do you honestly think that the murderer would leave behind evidence like that? I'm sure that whoever orchestrated this plot, they ordered the construct to wipe its logs when it was finished. No! That's right, Mr. Cuthbert. Your case against me is theoretical at best. But I suppose I can give you marks for trying. He thought of everything. Did he really get rid of all the evidence? I was running out of options. But I still had one option left. It's unbecoming to glare like that, young Tyrion. Huh? He's doing it again. I needed to bring myself back to that moment with Garrick Pierce. Everything was at stake for Wallace in this trial. He endured the collective hatred of everyone who didn't understand what he was doing. And he stayed true to his ideals, no matter how much it harmed him. He studied necromancy, all for the betterment of mankind. His life and his future were in my hands, and I would not see his potential destroyed.
Naught can remain concealed.
I activated the empowered eye again. Redmond did a good job of covering his tracks, but there was no such thing as the perfect crime. There had to be something that he forgot to get rid of. Here we go. Project. Wait. Let's see. What did he forget to get rid of? No traces. The evidence of academic dishonesty? Or is that just a red herring? Wait. Or is it the logic limitation? Did it reach... Let's see. The construct's orders were clear. Plant the body in Lecture Hall 2B, and then plant the evidence in Frega's locker. It was supposed to head to the storage room afterward. What happened? Oh, yeah! The construct wasn't supposed to be in the locker room? There we go. That's it. Yes, because, So why was the construct in the locker room? Why was the construct in the locker room? It shouldn't have been there if it had followed my orders, is what he thinks. Okay. No matter, it wiped its logs. That's all that matters. They have nothing. So he did order it to wipe its logs. In order to cover all of its tracks, it probably would have done this last. Wait, he ordered the construct to go to the storage room? It should have done that after it was finished planting evidence in the locker room. We found it in the locker room. What stopped the construct from leaving the locker room? What? Those necromancy. What stopped the construct? Oh, the academy was under lockdown. The body was probably reported earlier than Redmond expected. That meant he probably started the lockdown while the construct was still in the locker room. How did the lockdown affect the construct's actions? Well, the construct couldn't have left. But does this change anything? Withers, body. How did the lockdown affect the construct's actions? Wait a minute. A body has been discovered. Wait a minute. Redmond's series of commands was interrupted by the lockdown. Right, the series of commands would have been interrupted. Wait a minute! Yep, the order... Yep, if it's impossible, it stops. Yes, we know this. It is known. If Redmond was trying to cover his tracks, the construct's final command would be to wipe its memory. But if its orders were interrupted by the lockdown, then... Miss Steelwind, I have nothing more to ask this witness. What? You're not giving up, are you? Yeah, I thought so, but how are you going to prove he did it if he's not on the stand? Oh, don't worry. The next witness's testimony will be all I need. Next witness? That look on your face isn't one of resignation. Ah, there's nothing but desperate bravado. Now, if you'll excuse me. You let him get away, Mr. Cuthbert. I hope you know what you're doing. I do, Steelwind. First, I'd like to ask for the Inquisition to bring in the arcane construct in the Academy's locker room. We've already established that the murderer could have wiped its history. Please, just humor me for a second. Fine. Bailiff, please relay Mr. Cuthbert's request to Commander White. There it is. Well, here's your construct. I hope you know what you're doing, Mr. Cuthbert. Construct! What are your orders? Please recite your command history. Reporting. Command 1, stand by in Headmaster's office. Command 2, await vocal signal, attack from Theodore Redmond. Redmond stood up from the gallery, his face turning from confusion into terrified realization. Steelwind watched him carefully, clutching the handle of her cane. Command 3, treat Catherine Bellwether as a hostile entity and neutralize. Construct, wipe your... Hold on. She could finish. The prosecutor whipped out her cane and pointed it square at the headmaster. The headmaster tensed as his body tightened and he fell over, restrained by magical energy. He struggled against the spell to no avail. He could only watch through gritted teeth as the construct continued. Miss Steelwind! Excuse the interruption. Please continue. Command 4, await vocal signal leave from Theodore Redmond. Command 5, move to classroom 2B. Reply to any inquiries with voice line number 3. Command 6, remove Catherine Bellwether from interior frame and place on floor. Thank you, Construct. You can stop now. I think we all know the rest. But just to be clear, who gave you this series of commands? Commands were provided by Headmaster Theodore Redmond. How? How? Ordered the Construct to wipe its command history! Redmond, constructs don't follow the same logic that humans do. They're prone to error when their commands are impossible to execute. Impossible? How are my commands impossible? You were the one that made it impossible. You activated the lockdown system. The lockdown? I imagine you never expected anyone to go to Lecture Hall 2B, but the Janus twins discovered the body earlier than you expected. You had no choice but to immediately activate the lockdown system when it was reported. It would have been suspicious otherwise. However, the construct was still in the locker room when you did this. So that's why it was there. The construct finished its tasks in the locker room, but then it tried to follow your next command. It attempted to move to the locker room, to storage room, but was prevented from doing so. Completion of that command was impossible. So the series of commands was stopped before it wiped its history. No! Theodore Redmond, you ordered your construct to murder Catherine Bellwether. Then you had it place the murder weapon in a locker to frame Miriam Frege. And we have your construct's testimony to prove it. That's your last move, Redmond. That's checkmate. I can't believe it. How could you do something like this, Headmaster? She was going to take everything from me. My position, my academy, my students. Everything would be gone. It was going to be stolen by her and the Freges. Why didn't you say anything? I could have... Don't you dare stand there and act ignorant, Lady Steelwind. Do you think the Freges acted alone? The Grand General is also on the school board, and he endorsed this plan just as much as they did. What? I have nothing to say to you. I thought you were different. I listened to you and the prince's lies about societal reform. In the end, you were just like the rest of them. By the Scaled Lord, what have I done? I was even willing to sacrifice poor Wallace. Why did I ever listen to... Oh! Why did I do this? Oh no! Oh no. It appears we have a full confession. The court sees no reason to prolong this any further. Bailiff, please escort the witness to a holding cell. Oh, I wonder who convinced him to do this. Mr. Cuthbert, you really did it! It feels amazing, right? Like a big weight being lifted from your shoulders. It does, but Headmaster Redmond... What am I going to do now? Headmaster Redmond was the only one I could even attend... Was the only reason I could even attend the academy. If the school board replaces him with someone like Bellwether... Come on, don't think like that. You've been acquitted. You still have your freedom. I wanted to agree, but the study of necromancy was outlawed. Without Redmond's support, there weren't many places he could learn it. And then there was staff at the Imperial Academy. Hey, not you two! Sorry, but Valentina, Valerie, and Jan, they're all going to lose their jobs. Come on, you found the truth and you put the murderer behind bars. You saved Wallace. She's right. Hey, I haven't seen you in a while. As we exited the courtroom, we were greeted by Miss Timora. By the way, so I'm going to have an early prediction. I actually threw these out a week ago, but I think Ruby Timora might actually be secretly a baddie. Like, I think she might have some bad guy to her. Like, I'm not thinking like thoroughly bad, but I think partially bad. I think she has some... I think what White told us is partially true, that there's something suspicious about her in her past. Because I think part of it is the nobles... There's going to be nobles who aren't bad, and then there's going to be people, quote-unquote, on our side who aren't good. I think that's what we're going to, like, play around with. At the end of the day, you saved Wallace from a wrongful conviction. You did what you set out to do. You should be proud of yourself for that. I just wish I could do more. Nope, none of that! I'm taking all of us to that restaurant we went to last time. Do you remember how much that place cost? Don't worry, I have plenty of gold. Am I the only one on this team not making any money? Why don't you meet us there, Celeste? I need to talk with Tyrion for a moment. All right, let's go, Wallace. Okay. You used that ability again, didn't you? She didn't appear to be praising me. I did. I didn't really have a choice. The Eye of Horus is a powerful tool, Tyrion. But that's twice now that you've used that ability to get you out of a tough spot. You can't keep relying on it if you want to grow. One day you'll find a witness that it won't work on. It's worked for me this far, though. But I suppose you're right. I'll try to rely on it less next time. And that marked the end of another case in my career as a defense attorney. Another life saved, and another murderer brought to justice. But I still couldn't shake this feeling of uneasiness. Was it guilt for what would happen to the faculty staff, or was it something else? I can't believe it. It was really Theodore the entire time? Can we talk about something else? Thinking about all that is really bumming me out. I hope I'm not interrupting. Oh, great. What do you want? I've always tried to act with more compassion than my fellow aristocrats, but I suppose I'm still blind to the privileges I was born with. I am truly sorry if my words during the trial were insensitive to your circumstances. I've been speaking with the students here. There's quite a bit of outrage about your firing. Wait, really? The idea of a machine doing your job doesn't seem to sit well with the student body. Well, not everyone was as sympathetic as I'd hoped. Most everyone agrees that your leaving would be a tremendous loss. I've spoken with the head of the student council. We believe that we can convince the school board to keep you on staff. You can do that? But is that what you want, Valentina? I don't see the working conditions here improving without Redmond as headmaster. Well, we've got to make a living somehow. There's actually a merchant out in Orono who takes an interest in people like you and your sister. He's recently purchased a condemned building in the city, and he's looking to turn it into a restaurant. I remember how delicious your meals were when I was a student here. I'm certain he would hire you if I asked. Really? Would you be interested in that? It's a bit of a gamble, but your employment wouldn't be left to the whims of the nobility. Of course! Good. I'll contact him later today. You'll probably be hearing from him soon. She's not so bad for a noble. I don't know if I buy it. You've heard about what her dad's been doing, haven't you? Don't be so pessimistic. She seems nice. I'm kind of with Valentina on this one. Something's always been up with the Steelwinds. You remember that scandal all those years ago? No, actually. What happened? Right, you two were probably just kids when it all went down, but it was big news at the time. That girl's mom went on a rampage and massacred a village full of farmers, children included. Scaled Lord! Lucio Steelwind's violent streak didn't start with these rebellions. I think they had a bad marriage or something. He couldn't wait to get rid of her. After what she did, he personally prosecuted her and demanded a death sentence. He even carried out the execution himself. He really is a monster, isn't he? Yeah, I'm not sure if I'd trust anyone raised by a guy like that. Okay, we just got to confirm that the prosecutor in the final case of this game is going to be Lucio Steelwind. Am I right? I'm going to predict that too. Putting that in the prediction revolver. Whoosh! See? There's always something up with the aristocrats. As far as I'm concerned, I'm not getting my hopes up until I hear from this merchant from Arana. But hey, if I do get that restaurant, we'll need someone to help us keep it clean. You interested, Jan? Cleaning one small restaurant instead of an entire school? I'm falling asleep just thinking about it. Okay, just make sure you still do your job, okay? Well, that's a good ending for them. She was listening the whole time at the door. Yikes. Okay. Man, Steelwind's been keeping the old timer here for hours. What's there even to ask at this point? Turns out she doesn't trust his testimony. Something about his memories not matching up with the crime scene. I mean, he is pretty old. Yeah, well, she found that damn symbol etched into his desk. What did she call it? The purple mark? Oh, for the love of not this again. Look, if the little lady wants to chase the boogeyman, just let her. This time, she's doing it personally instead of dragging us into it. Cast sleep.
Hey! What's up with... Wait a minute! I remember it now! But how? That was close. My elation over meeting him almost made me forget. Eris, what are you doing here? Why? Wait! It was you. You put those ideas into my mind. You're the one who told me to murder Bellwether. Oh, you people never fail to amuse me. I didn't make you do anything. Everything you did that day, all the planning, all the preparation, that came from your own mind. And I have to say, I was quite entertained with the scheme you came up with. You even broke into Lady Frega's room. I never thought you were capable of such things, young Theodore. It's such a shame, though. I wish I could have gotten Wallace to play the villain instead of you. Could you imagine if he turned? Armies of the undead running rampant in the streets. It would have been spectacular. But alas, even I couldn't corrupt him. He falters in every other situation, but when it comes to necromancy, his will is adamantine. Answer me. Who are you? What are you? Who am I? I'm the ruler of the Sixth Circle, the Lord of Shadows. Ah! Okay. The Walking Dead completed. That's it. We done. Frey Cuthbert. Frey Cuthbert. I'm sorry, Tyrion. There was so much that I wanted to tell you. So much that I wanted to show you. But I'm afraid I was never meant to walk this path with you. Obviously she's a bad guy, but I didn't expect her to... Yeah, exactly. That this is quite the big reveal this early. The world is bleak, merciless, and unforgiving. But don't let it extinguish the flickering flame I can see within you. Use my eyes. Peer beyond the divine gate, just as I once did. Use it to build your own path to happiness. Case 3, the origins of Horus. Wow. Okay, so we're just jumping straight into the next case, rather than, like... Okay. Good time to end it, even though we're ending a little bit early. Because I want to start the next case fresh. Arna! Town Square! Ooh, we're going to a different city next time. Well, that sounds like fun. Okay. Well, we will wrap it up, and see you next Saturday. Same time, same place. All right. See ya.